Now let's turn our attention to Myanmar, where the fires of rebellion seem to be spreading. On October 27, three rebel groups joined forces. They formed what they called the Brotherhood Alliance and began an offensive against Myanmar's military junta. The fighting started in the northeastern state of Shan, and now it has spread all across the country's north. The rebel alliance has found new partners along the way, like the PDF, that's People's Defense Forces. These are forces loyal to Myanmar's ousted government, the legitimate government. So basically, it's a free-for-all right now. Almost everyone seems to be taking up arms against the junta. And some truly believe it's a chance to oust the military dictatorship. The government loyalists are said to have about 65,000 troops. They're spread across the country, 65,000. The Brotherhood Alliance has 15,000. Together, they look like a formidable force. And they claim to be making gains. Yesterday, they said they took the city of Kolin. It's about 250 kilometers north of Mandalay, that is Myanmar's most populous city. And this is a significant shift because so far the fighting was concentrated in the east, far from the junta's seat of power. But the loss of Kolin city would change things. It would be a major setback for the junta and a morale boost for the rebels. And this comes amid another set of reports. Another blow to the military dictatorship. They apparently lost a colonel on Sunday. He was in charge of a light infantry division, allegedly killed by the rebels in Shan state. And it looks like these losses have jolted the junta. The generals held an emergency meeting today to find a way to stop the rebel offensive. Now you may be thinking, has the spark been lit? Is this finally Myanmar's moment of reckoning? Will the junta be defeated by democracy-loving rebels? If only this were the movies. When you look closer, something seems wrong here. Peel back the layers and you'll find something rotten. Looks like China is playing a game in Myanmar and using the different factions in the country as pawns. Let me explain this. Last week we told you about China's interest in the region. Beijing wants to expand its Belt and Road Initiative. It wants to build something called the China-Myanmar Economic Corridor. Part of this project involves a railway line connecting China's southern Yunnan province with the Bay of Bengal. Now, on the face of it, China is concerned about the safety of this project. In public, Beijing seems to be calling for peace. It has been sending senior ministers to Myanmar since the rebel offensive began, and it has offered to mediate an end to the fighting, like it has done in the past. It has also expressed concern for its citizens, both in Myanmar and at the border.
China is paying close attention to the conflict situation in northern Myanmar, expresses strong dissatisfaction with the escalation of the armed conflict and the casualties caused to Chinese personnel, and has lodged solemn protest with relevant parties. China once again demands that all parties involved in the conflict in northern Myanmar immediately cease fire and take realistic measures to prevent any incidents that endanger the lives and property of people in China's border areas from happening again. China will take necessary measures to safeguard the lives and property of its citizens.
And there are reports of Chinese casualties, 1 dead and 2 injured. Apparently, an artillery shell from the junta missed its target and landed in China. But there's more to this, more to China's role. You see, the BRI project was coming along slowly. Then the rebel attack began. And guess what happened next? Myanmar has invited bids for the last leg of the BRI project. Think about it. Amid this fighting, the junta suddenly remembers it has to build a port. Are these two things unrelated, especially considering China's ties with the rebel groups? Many of these rebels in the Shan state have close ties to China's security establishment. They've been protected by Beijing for years, and they get their weapon supplies from China. So how could China not know in advance about a rebel uprising of this magnitude? And if they did, why did they not warn their pet junta in Myanmar? As things stand, the fighting puts China's BRI railway at risk, but it has also pushed the railway line closer towards completion. All China needs to do now is tell the rebels to stop. So its project is no longer at risk. And it walks away looking like a peacemaker. As I said, the more you dig, the more rotten all of it appears.